You're welcome to Business Owners Bootcamp, to our weekend Zoom meeting. And we have with us today an amazing lady, and she's a beautiful lady. She looks like her mother. Of course, I've not met her biological mother, but I've met Bimbo Shichuku that some of us have met last week, and I've received training from the two of them, and they are quite exceptionally good. And I can't but allow you to, encounter them. They are so amazing. So today we'll be listening to Victoria Banjoko. She's our trainer for today. And very soon I'll give her the floor to talk to us. She's an impressive lady, and I think somehow I have this natural tendency to be attracted to accountants. Maybe I'll be one someday. But anyway, so that we'll not spend too much of our time, though we have unlimited Zoom, but we would like to do other things. So I would like to give the floor to Victoria. And before we give the floor to Victoria, I would like to tell every participant in the house that please get your writing material, your writing pad, whatever you want to write with, and make sure that you take notes, because when you keep learning and you are not retaining it, it's a pure waste of time. And nobody wants to waste his or her time. Some of us have been in business for a donkey years. The reason why you are here today is because you are just tired of the status quo. You're like, okay, I'm ready to be a bona fide entrepreneur. I'm ready to put organization into my accounting and bookkeeping. I'm ready to do it right this time around. Because that your business has a tendency of growing so well, so big, and for a very long time. Even by the time you are very old and gone, that business has a tendency of still remaining and being there forever, if possible. So, we are just here to mitigate against those things that make businesses to fail. And it's been said that 9 out of 10 businesses that failed because they have poor financial management. So we have escaped that 9. We're in the region of the 1 that will make it, and that's why we are doing this. So the voice you will hear and the face you see now, hopefully Victoria will show her face, is the face of Victoria Banjoko. She's a chartered accountant. She is the head of SME accounting in Valuecom Limited. She has also lectured in so many places, including the China European International Business School. So for them to have her, you know that she has a lot to offer. So we too, we are ready to get the best out of this training. So sit back and enjoy the training. And for some of you, I've sent you messages that you should download the Wave app. It's a free app. So if you can still do that, if you've not done that earlier, please download it, because there will be a lot of training about it. She will also teach us how to use our laptop, so that wherever you are, you'll be able to know what is happening in your business. When they ask you, what is your turnover? You can say, what do you make? What is your account like? You can tell exactly what is happening. That's why we are doing this, so that we will not just do business anyhow, but it will be organized. So we want to say welcome to you, Victoria Banjoko. It's a pleasure to have you on Business Owners Bootcamp training today.
All right, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yes, it's wonderful having us together this afternoon to discuss business. So I'm glad to have this opportunity to discuss with us. I think we need to just move on to the business of today. And if we have any questions, then we can discuss immediately after. The reason why we are discussing this afternoon is basically to look at the practicality of all that we have been discussing in the sessions we've had previously. I know we are well familiar with managing our accounts now, and then that will not be a challenge to us going forward. Dr. Adeyeye is an entrepreneur, but beyond being an entrepreneur, she's desirous of helping other businesses to also come into the knowledge of what would help every business to thrive. While we are growing, we are interested in making others grow. I think that is the slogan that she she would be running by. So she doesn't want to grow alone. She desires that other entrepreneurs also have this knowledge from the start. And it's very important that our startups, or even those who are already running businesses, we get this information from the beginning, so that as we are going, we are not running into errors. I just want to quickly mention, there was this business that approached our firm, and what was the concern? The business had been in existence for over 25 years, and they've not been using the business name to do business. It was established for some agro business activities. However, maybe because of the challenges of the agri business, the person was not able to do so much activities on the business. So now she's trying to now bring up, activities into the business. And when she approached us, we had to let her know the challenges of starting so late. Then you have to combat the challenges of filing account with TSC and rectifying all your penalties for not complying all along. You have to also think about how you're going to do the same thing with FRS, because the business is actually incorporated as a limited liability company. I heard a bit of what doctor was mentioning when she said that she runs both the NGO and then she runs the normal business. So, so all those challenges are things that one would actually have overcome if from the beginning of the business you had started your proper compliance, your record keeping is actually put in proper perspective. And that is why we are discussing this. And we are beyond the age where we have to be putting pen to paper every time to calculate what the totals of our income and revenue would be, and then be able to arrive at reports that we can even submit or even use for management decision making. So it is important that we automate our businesses. Whereas we also would recommend that it's good to start from where your strength is. But there's nothing bad in knowing both automation process at the same time managing the manual documentation. So we want to look at the Wave app. So let me ask us if you have used the Wave app before, or if you have maybe based on the advice that doctor gave us, if you had registered, signed up for the Wave app, can you just type a yes in the chat box? And if you have not, can you type a no in the chat box? Let me know, our previous activities on the Wave app. Okay, so that's Madam Kainde has done something on the Wave app. All right. So why Wave app? That's the first question. Why would I be recommending a Wave app? First and foremost, because okay, so good. We have 3 people who have used the Wave app before. That's fine. Thumbs up to us. Well done. So because the Wave app is a free accounting software, one, because the Wave app is also a cloud-based accounting software. Those are 2 core reasons why we would be recommending the Wave app. Now, I wouldn't want to bring up the usage of accounting softwares that you would have to invest so much in. So it is important that at least we start somewhere. When we realize that our businesses had grown so well and then the softwares would not be sufficient or will not be capable of managing the nature of our business anymore, then we can also switch to using other softwares. However, for the benefit of information, there are so many softwares that could be used. Some softwares are called the desktop-based softwares. Some are called the cloud-based softwares. Cloud-based softwares implies that it is not installed on any particular system. So it is not resident on your system. They won't say, okay, bring your system, let me help you to install this software so that you'll be able to use. No. Cloud-based softwares are logged into the same way you would log into your Gmail accounts, your Yahoo Mail accounts, and then you'll be able to see your messages and do your other activities on your mail. That is the same way you will have to log into your cloud-based accounting software and perform your transactions. Another advantage of the cloud-based software, apart from it not being on a system, is that anywhere you are, you can access it. And even on your mobile devices, you can access it. So you are not bent on having a particular laptop or a particular device which might be in another location. You can actually do your transactions wherever you are on the go, which is where the world is going to. We really didn't prepare for this kind of scenario. We have found ourselves as a nation and the world at large, but we have found ourselves in it, and people have to adjust. So in this process of adjustment, we are not just adjusting, we are learning and found ourselves in and see how to get the best out of it. So we are now in the virtual world. I hope you would all agree with me that we're in the virtual world. We can be in different locations, and then we can have meetings organized and have our discussions running perfectly. So that is another reason why the cloud-based accounting software would be effective for us. Then another reason why I would recommend the cloud-based accounting software is that a cloud-based accounting software does not have huge investments need. Now, if you were going to buy a desktop-based accounting software, there's the initial cost of buying the software. Then even currently now for the new ones, there are also the investment of running subscription on them. So you can see that, we can go on and on to see reasons why we want to go cloud-based rather than desktop-based. So to the business of today now, we are discussing the Wave accounting software. I mentioned that there are other softwares like the Zero accounting, there is the Sage One accounting, there is the QuickBooks Online accounting, and as many as possible cloud-based accounting softwares. But there is a but to using the Wave apps. If your business is such that you would want the software to manage your inventory for you, then the Wave apps might not be effective, because the Wave apps is designed to suit businesses that are service-based. So what do I mean by service-based? That means what you do is that you render services rather than sell products to your customers. So that is one constraint we would have using the Wave apps. Okay, so now the Wave apps. Doctor, please, I'd like to share my screen. I tried it. Okay, it's on now. Okay, so I'll be sharing my screen with us so that we'll be able to see what the Wave apps look like and what we would be doing. In the course of having the bookkeeping session, you've been told the necessary books that you would keep as a business. And some of the books are your sales book, your expense books. Now, to manage your sales book at the end of a particular period, let's say for a month, you want to know what is the total sales you have made per customer or per line of income. All of these things are what we are going to incorporate into the software so that at a click, you'll be able to generate reports and see how your business is doing. Okay? Then for your expenses, I know you have also been told that it is important that you keep your source documents. What are the source documents? The source documents includes your vouchers, your payment vouchers, which are used for recording your transactions. And that's basically because you can't depend on the bank statements to have all your records. Okay, so these source documents are going to be the information you will feed into the software to generate your reports. A software also is a garbage in, garbage out. Depending on how robust you want your reports to be, then the information you will be feeding the system has to be robust. So don't forget that what we need to use our software, whatever software we are using, are called the source documents. Our source documents are the invoices you issue to your customers. So even nowadays, if you don't necessarily have to keep to get an invoice booklet to be sending to customers. In fact, how many people will walk in and be saying, say your invoice, you raise your invoices, you send to your clients by mail, which is what the Wave apps will do for you. And another interesting part about the Wave apps is that you can also set some reminders on the application itself, so that after you have raised the invoice and you forgot to raise a receipt after the client had paid you, the Wave apps will prompt you, oh, this invoice has been staying so long. You haven't raised the receipt. As the customer paid, please raise your receipt. As your customer not paid, please send a reminder. So those are the interesting aspects of automation. So we'll be looking at what the Wave apps will be able to do for us. Once we feed it the information of our source documents, our invoices, the sales, And then we notify the wave apps that, oh, we've received the money into our bank. This is the amount we received. They'll be able to see what our sales are at the end of a particular period. Okay, so I'll just share the screen so that we see the dashboard of the wave apps. Okay, please confirm you can see my screen. I'm currently sharing the screen of the wave apps. So the title of our company is Test Company. Thank you, Doctor. So, and then we'll be using that to do a few demonstration of what we can do with our wave apps. Nobody would disagree with me on this platform that sales is critical for any business. So even though you will not want to feed it the information of the expenses, the sales is the first part that you'll be interested in. So we'll be starting with the sales module of the wave apps. And that is found immediately after the dashboard. So you have your sales. And what does sales entail? Whether you are running a cash-based business, that means your customers are not even deemed to owe you at all. Or you run a business in such a way that people can be allowed to pay a portion and then pay the balance later. Whichever one we run, we'd have to issue an invoice to our customer. Even when we walk into to supermarkets, they still issue us a sales document, which is like a receipt that shows the breakdown of what we have bought, the amount, the quantity, and then our total amount. So that is what we do with our sales. We issue out the invoices to the clients. Okay, so if we are going to do that, we'll click the sales and then we move to invoices. After the session today, I'll just send us bullet points of basic activities that would be done on the wave apps. So that serves as a reminder at any point in time we want to use our wave apps to help us to know the things that we have discussed together. So we have the sales and then we click on the invoices. Sales, invoices. That enables, don't forget I mentioned that whether we run a cash-based system or we run the system that allows debt, on wave apps, we necessarily have to create invoices. Some softwares will allow us to be able to just raise receipts directly. So if you are using like the QuickBooks online application, it allows you to just raise the receipt without raising an invoice. But the wave apps has two levels of completing a sales transaction. You will raise the invoice. So the invoice enables you to detail all that you are selling or all the services you are rendering to your customer. And I will recommend to us that immediately you choose to automate your business process, please stick to it. Ensure that all your invoices pass through the automated system you have chosen. So if you are choosing the wave apps, ensure that all your invoices goes through the wave apps. Ensure that you raise all your receipts through the wave apps. So that helps you to be able to keep track of what you are doing so that you don't have it becoming cumbersome and uninteresting. If you have two levels of activities, you are doing some on web apps, you are writing some on physical booklets, and you are doing some just by verbal information, some you are sending only WhatsApp, you know, there are different things that helps businesses to grow. Part of it is our organization. So let's stick to whichever process we want to do. If you want to stick to using the booklet and be snapping, which is, you know, it's already way out, it's facing off in our world now. So stick to using the software, send your invoices immediately by mail, by WhatsApp to your clients, and then you've completed your deal. You have your reports on the application, you have your documents sent to your clients. So we have the invoices now. As you can see on the invoice page, I have invoices. I have on the extreme right, create an invoice on showing on blue, on a blue background. Once I click that create an invoice, it enables me to create the invoice for the customer. What are the basic information for an invoice? The first one is the customer. We are billing a customer. The second most important one is the date. Date is one other information on any financial document that is very key. If our date is not correct, then when we are pulling our reports will not be making sense. So you have, maybe per adventure, you are sitting down to prepare all your transactions of April to June. and you are doing it in July, and you forgot to change all your dates. If you want to pull out your report, let's say you left all the dates as July, it will just show you, the system will only produce what you have given the system and tell you that, oh, in July you made a sales of 1.5 million, whereas the 1.5 million was actually meant to be for April, May, and June. So date is very critical in our financial information. So once you select add a customer, you can see that my page is already showing new invoice and add a customer. If I had already set up my customers, then I can now click and select the name. But because we are starting afresh, I will need to add my customer. So what is the name of my customer? I will need to create my customer. So I have Ashiwaju as my first customer today. Okay. If I have an email address for my customer, I'm going to put the email address. So let me say at gmail.com. And then the phone number, the contact name is all right. So I will save my customer. So I already have a customer, and that is the customer I am billing presently. The next thing is the invoice number. I can actually do it that I will enable the system to automatically generate numbers for me. The same way the printer had stamped numbers on my hard copy invoices, I can set it that the system automatically generates. That serves as a control so that there's no tendency of forgetting which number I used last or using a particular number that I've used before. So the system automatically generates the number. However, maybe if there's a uniqueness to my numbering, for instance, if my business name is ANG International, and I want the codes, that's ANG slash maybe INV slash, all those things can actually be set up in my invoice numbering. So I have my invoice number, and if those things are not important, we just leave as blank numbers. So invoice number, then don't forget my date. So this transaction occurred today, so today's date is very fine. And then my payment is due when, and that's dependent on the terms of engagement I have with each customer. If, for instance, a particular customer, we've negotiated that payment is due 2 weeks after delivery of my services to you, then that means I would put the next 2 weeks as my due date. Okay. So then we have to go to the next aspect of the invoices, which is the major part. What am I selling to the customer? So I come down to where I have items, quantity, price, and amount. So that is similar to what you have on your own physical invoice, or the Excel invoices, or the Word invoices that we can also download from the internet. So I have that. Items, what am I selling? That is it. So I need to create an item. Okay. So what item am I selling to the customer? Let me say I am selling training, or I'm selling consultancy. Okay. So what is the description? Training services for team B. Okay. What is the quantity? If it's a service, quantity might not be that important. So we can leave as one, and then we move to price. If it's a service and it is billed maybe on weekly basis, so we may have, as part of our description, maybe we put per week, and in our quantity we can put 2 to show that it's for 2 weeks, and then we put the price per week in the price column. So once we put the price, let me say I have 200,000 in my price, the system automatically multiplies the quantity and the price to give me what the amount is. Depending on the nature of my business, then I can know what taxes would be applicable. Some businesses are exempted from the sales tax. Some businesses are not. I think in the course of our training, we should have been able to mention some of those aspects of businesses that will be taxable and the ones that will not be taxable. So if our business is not, then we put exempt. If our business is, then we select the tax type that we want. So it is either the 7.5 or it is the exempt, which is 0. We are currently running on the 7.5 VAT in Nigeria. Okay. If I have just one line item that I'm selling to this customer, then it's fine. Otherwise, I can still click on my add an item to have as many lines as possible. Once I am done, I scroll down to save. Okay, so I can do a save and send, or I can do a save and continue, or do a save and record a payment. The differences in this is that save and send enables Wave app to automatically send this via mail from the Wave app page to the customer. So based on the email address I've set for this customer. Save and record the payment means that, oh, I've already, this transaction, I've received payment. So it's like a direct sale, a cash-based sale. So I will save it and then I will create receipt immediately. Save and continue means I just want to save and do all that continue. I hope you're following me. If you have any questions, address them as we go on. Okay, so I have saved my invoice already. If you're looking at your the screen, you will see that it shows you that this is a draft invoice. It still allows me to edit the invoice, approve it, just to be sure that, oh, I am perfectly okay with this. So it's no longer a draft, it becomes a normal invoice. And you can see below how my invoice looks. Okay, now this invoice can actually be customized the more to look beautiful, you know, to even suit the kind of color that to project for your business. So those are customizations that will be settings page of the software, the name of the company showing, and in fact, we would even include our receiving the invoice. You already have our banking invoice on Wave Apps. Okay, now I mentioned earlier that I can automate all my information. If you're looking at the screen now, you will see create, which is what I have done. You can see send, which is what I am not doing now. I don't want to send it directly from the Wave Apps. And then under the send, you can see schedule reminders. So do you want to keep having reminders in your email box about this invoice? So do you want reminders so that you will know that, oh, this invoice has not been paid? Oh, this invoice has not been paid. You know, after 3 days, the system will remind you this invoice hasn't been paid. So it helps you to either make a decision to call the client or to raise your receipts on the Wave apps. Okay, so that is it. Once you are done with this, immediately you receive your click on the invoice, and then you can see record a payment. Okay, record a payment. Under this get page, you will see record a payment. Once you click the record a payment, it brings up this pop-up. So you select the date. It's possible the customer is not paying you fully, so don't forget to change it to the exact amount you received from the customer. Okay, and if the customer paid fully, then you just come, select your payment, and where did you lodge this money? If it's cash, was it in cash on hand, or you have a bank account that you have lodged the money? Okay, once you select that, if you have any further note, maybe payments, part payment on invoice, full payment on invoice, you know, you can put that in the memo and then you click submit. So that ends activities for income. Okay, so we have already seen how easy it is for us to document. This helps us not just to document our daily transactions, it pulls everything together and generates month-end reports, which is what you will see in your reports section. Okay, at the left hand below, just the very almost the last activity there, we have reports. So you have your report, which tells you your income, which tells you your expenses, and tells you your profitability as a business. Okay, so we have concluded our sales activities, but I just want to mention to us that if we are looking at the sales, so I'm looking at my left hand, all right, immediately after the dashboard, I have my sales. So under my sales, I have estimates. Estimates are like pro forma invoices. Some companies will call it your pro forma invoices. Some will prefer to call it like your order. Okay, there is nothing binding in an estimate. Okay, just like a client asks you to, can you send us an estimate if you are going to carry out this job for us? What is your estimate? So you send them the estimate. So nothing binds them, and that implies that estimate will not post those figures into your report. So if you are looking at your report for a particular period, you will not see the figure of the estimate there, because the estimate is just like a loose document. It is not binding. It is not a contract for the business. Okay, then we have the recurring invoices. Recurring invoices implies that as a business, you are that particular invoice, you render the service or you sell that particular product over and over to that particular client. Let me say, for instance, I render this service on weekly basis. Then instead of me to come back to Wave Apps every week to be raising an invoice, all I will do is that I will raise a recurring invoice and instruct Wave that kindly raise this invoice every 7 days. And if it is a monthly thing, I will say, oh, let this invoice be raised every month and be sent to the customer. So that is what recurring invoices do. However, we need to be very careful. Sometimes we are trying to look for a shortcut and we end up realizing that the shortcut we are passing through becomes a longer route. Because if you have set up a recurring invoice and your contract has ended with the client, if you did not come back to instruct Wave Apps to stop raising these invoices on the periodic basis that you have instructed the system to do, what will happen is that it will just keep raising the invoice indefinitely. So you'll be looking at your Wave Apps report and you'll be seeing sales, whereas in actual fact there is no sale. Okay, so we need to also be conscious of instructing the system immediately we have that contract at the client end. We have our customer statement, history of what I've done with you in the past. Look for an Excel document to quickly type in, oh, I sold, carry your bank statement, do all those kind of endless activities just to construct a statement that will not even look professional to send to your client. Whereas the Wave helps you at a click generate your statement for your customer, showing you the basic details, the date you did the transaction, the amount, and all of that based on the information you have sent to the client. So you have instructed this, you have saved on the system. So it is very important that we ensure that our information is accurate and timely, so that at any point in time we need to pull out any information, we will not be will not be in a shock, or will not be in a haste and then realize that we are doing things wrongly. Accuracy is very important in financial records. So that is what the customer statements will do for us. And then the customers, we only list out all our customers. And the products and services, we also bring out all the products that we are selling and the services that we are rendering to the clients. Okay, so do we have any question on the sales module, of the Wave Apps? Person who hadn't started the business. I think, like I mentioned when I was talking about statements, I said that it looks professional when we are called upon to present documents, and at a click we can easily send it to the client. It looks professional when you have to send an invoice to a customer, and because you're already used to using the Word document, so the invoice you sent to the person last month stated 001. You are sending another invoice to the client this month, it's still 001, and then the person might be confused. Oh, is it the same invoice you sent last month you are sending this month? And that's because I am using a Word document to do my presentation. So, but when we get automated, like I mentioned, that the benefit outweighs whatever discipline that we will need to put in place. But the discipline is very important. Whether we have started business on a large scale or we are just about to start, if we have all the processes in place, it helps us to be able to build upon them. So the first thing is that we have the process. You're already empowered on how to use the Wave Apps. even if you have not even incorporated your business, but you run some personal, PP businesses. So at any point in time, you might be asked, can you send us an invoice for the service you rendered to us? Or can you send us the bill? Or even if they didn't ask you, you have completed your service with them. And while you are just going, on your phone, if you communicate to them via WhatsApp, you just attach your invoice and send to them. It makes the process quite clean and clear to everyone. There's something to refer to. So while you are still doing it on your name, so rather than the invoice bearing Life Found Hospital, if it was for Dr. Adeyeye, it's going to bear Dr. Adeyeye. So it shows that, oh, the personal activity I had with you, this is the document that supports it. And it is not difficult. Like we demonstrated, all it takes you is just go there, prepare the document, put some graphics, something that makes it look beautiful. If you also received it, it projects you as an individual, as someone who is properly organized in doing the, rendering the service, and also helps the people who want to also deal with you to know that this person is well structured, and also helps to keep reminders. So it is not somebody's words against yours. Say, you've not paid my bill. So which bill? I can't recall having any bill, Oh, the bill that we sent last week. So rather than even say, let me prepare it and send, you just do a forwarding of the mail that you had sent previously to the person. So these are things that actually help us to, prepare ahead of the growth of the business. We don't wait until the business has fully grown before we start putting the structures in place. It is important that as we are starting the business, we start putting the necessary structures. And the bookkeeping aspect of the business is very key. It helps us to ensure that probably before you were having 3 contacts in a week. Let's say you have grown so big and you're having up to 20 contacts in a week. How would you be able to recall as many people that you have had business activities with? So take it beyond the brain and then put the process into the system and let the system work for you. So whether we have started the business even in the business name, or we are still doing it on our names, it doesn't matter. So, and like I mentioned also, that the wave apps is like a stepping stone to greater heights. So if you are starting with the wave apps now, by the time you grow so big and you want to use an ERP solution, who says no? You use your ERP solutions that automates all the processes and links all the departments. But if you have not instilled the discipline now, it will be difficult. Even if you have the money to put the structure in place, adhering to the structure will become a challenge. So that is what I would recommend for the doctor, that now that you're still doing it on a small scale, issue your invoices to them, send them your receipts. With your click, they have the documentation and you have the reminders also sent back to you by Wave. Then for the other question on withholding and VAT. Withholding and VAT is a question that if I'm going to address now, I hope I will not be speaking too many grammar for you as a financial person. But to break it down as simple as possible, VAT is sales tax. Okay, now VAT on your invoice is not your money. VAT is what the government has instructed every business to earn on their behalf and remit to the government. So it is simply called value added tax, and it is VAT. Okay, now what it implies is that, let's take for instance that my service or my product is 10,000 naira. Government requires that I will not sell that product at 10,000 naira. I will sell it as 10,750 naira. Then I will take the 750 which the customer had paid and remit it to the government. But we understand the challenges, which is what I wouldn't want us to overflog here. That customers will say, I don't want to pay VAT. What's VAT? I'm not interested in, all those challenges of small businesses. Now, as another level, this new Finance Act helped to address that to small scale businesses and say, okay, if your turnover within the year is within 25 million, then okay, don't worry, because we understand the challenges you will be facing requesting your customers to pay the VAT, right? So that's another one. But even if we are now above the 25 million and we want to think about the VAT, what it implies is that if the customers see the VAT on the invoice, we make them displeased. what you would do is that you would have to have incorporated the VAT in your pricing model. So as such, you say, how much does this product or this service cost? So it's 10,750 naira. Rather than say that it is 10,000 naira, you know that your prices are already VAT inclusive. So it's just like you walk into a shop, right, or into any mall and you want to buy a product. If you are picking the product, they won't tell you that the product is 10,000, but you will pay VAT. No, they already incorporated the VAT into the prices. So when you are looking at your receipt, that's when you know, so I paid VAT on this Coke that I bought. That's the way it operates. Okay, so that's for VAT. However, withholding taxes are also instructions from the government to business owners. The way it operates is that government is saying that it will be too burdensome for businesses to come at the end of the year and cough out the company income tax as a lump sum. So how can we be deducting this money gradually on their behalf? You know that the company income tax applies to all limited liability businesses. So at the end of the year, you're expected to pay your company income tax. Now, and it is 30% of your profits. So government says, how can we make it a bit easier than wait till the end of the year and ask you to cover out the 30%? Or how can we also even be earning small gradually? We don't want to wait till the end of the year to collect the total 30%. So what they have instructed is that when Life Found Hospital has vendors that will render services to them, when these vendors come to render services to them, government says, Life Found Hospital, Dr. Adeye, you are there to withhold, take out small money out of these vendors, out of the bills the vendors are giving to you. Take out the 5% if they are business names, or take out the 10% if they are limited liability companies. This 5% or 10%, you will pay it on their behalf to government and give them a document which is called the withholding tax credit note. When you give them that document, at the end of the year, instead of them paying physical cash as their company income taxes, they will use that withholding tax credit note to pay to offset their company income tax. If they are business names, instead of paying, at the end of the year, a business name will also do their own taxes and pay for the directors. Okay, so the director can use it actually to offset what is expected to be paid. But to address VAT and withholding, you might want to agree with me that it might require us to have another 1 hour or 45-minute session, because it requires a lot of questions and clarifications. But that's just the summary of what withholding and VAT is. VAT is on your sales. Withholding seems to be on your expenses, because you are just standing as an official of the government to take out of your supplier's money and pay it on behalf of the supplier to the government. So that's how VAT and withholding operates. I don't know if I was able to answer that question to a little extent. Okay, so Kende, can you confirm if you are a bit clear on the concept of VAT and withholding on invoices? All right, so okay, maybe I just give us the challenge to commence the usage of the Wave apps with our invoices and receipts. By the time you have started using it and it becomes interesting to you, then, and you see the results, the comments from the customer end, the joy you also derive when you look at your report and you have everything together in one place. When you see that, it will encourage you to now continue using it and even, use all that it can offer you as a business. All right, doctor, I don't know if we should still continue or we should just wrap it up here and see if there are questions.
I have a question.
All right.
If I want to clarify what you said about withholding tax credit notes. The companies who don't have who don't pay VAT. There are some companies who are exempted. There are some companies who are on zero VAT. So for this kind of companies, are they also expected to take withholding tax?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That was why I mentioned that The VAT is on your sales. Withholding is just your a duty, an assistance you are rendering to government to take out of your vendors. Okay. Now,
Well,
however, there are some vendors that will be exempted. If
yes,
it's an NGO, yes. If it's an
Mhm.
NGO, okay, that is rendering a service to you, okay,
Okay.
that is rendering, maybe they are doing some services to you, you can't withhold from an NGO. However, you will now need their own certificate just to be able to back up that they are actually NGOs. So that if for any reason there is a tax audit and they say, oh, why didn't you withhold from this? Say, oh, this one, they are NGOs. They are not to be withheld from. Okay.
Then I also want to say something that if you say that, for example, somebody gave me a bill of 100,000 naira now, and I say, okay, oh, it's only 90,000 I will pay you. I'll help federal government to hold 10,000 naira. I'm sure there will be a lot of fighting some places like, Madam, are you okay? Who sent you message? I beg, I beg, I beg. Even the thing where I buy na 95,000 50 kobo. Now 5,000 be my own. Now 5,000 be my own this thing there. So there will be a lot of issues. So, and if that company even allows you for that first time, next time they are bringing you something, they will tell you it's 150 when it's 100,000 because they know you take 10,000 out of it. So at the end of the day, it's a bit um, like an unrealistic approach in Nigeria for now to
Yeah.
do that, especially when most of the companies you even deal with, many are not even registered. So they will
Incorporated.
tell you, I
Yeah.
don't even have any business with FRS or tax people. Please, now the thing I will chop, now they look for. Don't disturb me. Now only transfer money now I add on top. You know, all those kind of things. So how do you
Yeah.
mitigate that vis-a-vis knowing that, okay, we also want Nigeria to do well. We also know
Okay, ma. Um, that's the challenge that so many businesses are facing. Sincerely, the withholding tax. That's why I said, you know, discussing withholding
responsibility to
is a
pay
bit
taxes
of an
and
issue. Okay.
I am as big as thoughts. So what do you what
Okay. So discussing withholding is a bit of an issue actually. I would say that, there are different types of businesses we deal with. The withholding also, even if we are not doing 100% compliance. Let's take for instance, some people would have um, services being rendered to them maybe on a monthly basis, like a generator repairer comes to do your generator servicing every month. Okay, and the person says, oh, it's 1,500 naira that I use for the servicing. Just for little compliances, one can try to see how to talk the person into that. Instead of the 1,500, I'll be paying you 1,450. If the person refuses, maybe just for that, for such recurring ones, one may have to do some little compliances. You'd also get their numbers. They don't have registration numbers, they don't have anything. So the only reason why you are doing this is just to have a little bit of compliance as a business yourself. Okay. Then some people, we also have contract staff. So contract staff, you don't take payee from them and you still don't take withholding from them. So even if you are beginning from just the contract staff arm and you take your withholding from them, so at least you have something to show a little bit of compliance on that aspect. And if, for instance, you also have the big companies that you are dealing with, those ones even have the understanding. So for them, it won't be a bit of issue negotiating with them. So if we take just one, two out of those scenarios and try to do those little compliances, at least to ensure that um, one has adhered to an extent with all these instructions, it will help the business rather than having to now combat with the challenge of going for one meeting or the other to negotiate and discuss all of the challenges of the tax offices.
then
So
madam I also want to then another thing I also want to ask, ma, I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
yes, I can. Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. So what I want to say is that, according to the new Financial Act that came out
Yes.
in February or February or early March, either of the two, it says that companies who are doing a turnover of less than 25 million, they're exempted from VAT.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you relate with that kind of company and you are telling the person that, okay, I'm going to do withholding tax, he'll tell you that I don't even do VAT now, so I don't have any business with VAT. So how will you now remove, when government say you don't free me, why will you now remove my money and say you are withholding something? So how do we relate with that? Though from what you said that the withholding tax is, it's like in the same vein with company income tax. So that if a company is supposed to pay a particular amount of money as company income tax, they can take all their credit notes that they have received um, to the tax office. So can you please explain that area? Is it that, okay, when you have withholding tax credit notes, you can use it to pay for the company income tax, or it's supposed to be in the same vein with the VAT? So that's the question.
All right, ma. Thank you, ma. The withholding tax credit note can be used to offset the company income tax. So if after they have computed the amount that your company income tax is, if what you have as withholding tax credit note is enough to cover it, then use your withholding tax credit note. If what you have is not enough, you may need to add a little more cash. If your withholding tax credit note is even more, is more than your income tax at the end of the year, you just use a little out of your withholding tax credit note to offset the current year's company income tax. Then the second question is that because a company did not um, include VAT on the invoice, so why would you take withholding? Now, including VAT on the invoice and withholding are two different things. Including VAT is because government has said, don't bother help us to collect that sales tax again. Don't bother. We have seen the challenges you go through in getting the sales tax from your customers. So don't bother again. But that doesn't mean that the services that you have rendered to people, okay, which they are supposed to withhold from, they would not withhold from it. They will withhold from it, okay? Because that withholding actually is just a way to necessarily paid and they. Okay, sorry, I was talking, I think I was locked out. So the withholding taxes are they are like advanced payments of our taxes. They are not like the VAT, which is an addition to our sales value, and we have to take out of to remit to government. So withholding tax is just saying, let me pay this ahead for you, then subsequently at the end of the year, you will net off whichever one is higher. So if what you have paid ahead is higher, then we'll save the remaining one. You can use it in the next year to offset this the next year's taxes. So that's the way the withholding and the VAT works.
Mr. Okon has a question for you on the chat
Okay.
box.
Can I have your question?
On the chat box, talking about how to collect this credit note. That will he go around different companies and be asking for this? He said, please, on withholding tax, if you render to different companies, do you have to go around each of them to request for the form? So that's the question.
Okay. All right. Um, Previously, you may have to go around the companies to ask them to send to you, or maybe they scan it to you, or you go physically to get the withholding tax credit note. But the way it is now is that on your own, each company, currently there is what is called the e-filing. So each company has a platform, the same way we have our banking platform. where we can do our internet banking. There are also platforms for our tax activities. So if a company had withheld from you and they remitted, on your platform, you will be able to view your credit note and print it out. Okay. So rather than having to go to the different companies to request for it, what you can access on your own tax page. So on your FIRS page, on your Lagos State page, you can actually access your tax credit note. Otherwise, you just follow up with the client to request for it to be sent to you either by scan because of distance, or if you have to visit them physically to get your tax credit note, you can just visit them and get the tax credit.
All right. Thank you so
So
much, Ma.
that's it, Mr. Oku.
All right. Thank you so much, Ma. I so much, Victoria. You're such an
Question has been
amazing.
cleared.
Mr. Okon.
Yes, my question has been answered. Thanks.
All right, all right. Thank you so much. So, our dear facilitator, lecturer, and trainer, we just want to say we are grateful. We want to say thank you for taking time out of your so busy schedule to take us through these basics. I want every one of us to know that we can use this training in our businesses. Anytime anyone orders something from you, send an invoice. It saves you from the argument of, no, you did not say a crate of egg is 4,000. Yes, it's 4,005. When they receive the invoice, they know that they just have to pay. And I'm also doing this as a takeaway to always issue invoice to all my clients. Even if they pay before the service was rendered, we should also learn to do that. So we want to say thank you to you, Ma, and say God bless you. It will be a pleasure to have you back again to take us on other aspects of accounting and bookkeeping and our business finance. And we know because we have heard and learned from you, our businesses will, the only thing our businesses can be is to be better, and it will grow in a very luscious and green way. Thank you so much for being a blessing to all the SMEs here. And we can say thank you, thank you, thank you. So at this point, I think we have come to the end of today's training.
Thank you.
Please, if you have not sent your feedback for the Business Owners Bootcamp, please send it to my personal line, to me on Instagram at TMC Adeyeye. If you have other questions, apart from what we are learning in class, you can always talk to me. It will be a pleasure to, give my advice on it. And please, let's take time to do what we have learned. It's important because when you do these things, you become more confident as an entrepreneur to approach opportunities that are flying everywhere. The opportunities are there. We don't want you to walk this road alone. It can be very lonely. So we are ready to work with you.